Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's Wednesday, October the 30th, 2024. This is our regular council meeting. This meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page. I would remind those that are joining with us in person to make sure all your communications devices are either shut off or put on vibrate, please. I welcome council. I welcome staff. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all of life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I would remind you, if you have a pecuniary interest, to declare it at the appropriate time. Deputy Clerk, any delegations this evening?
None on tonight's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 5 on your agenda, Council, 5.1, a motion by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Rodriguez. The report by Adam Sabansky, Chief Administrative Officer, dated October 18, 2024, regarding the proposed Huron Shores Optimus Community Project location selection be received, and the council endorses the proposed location between Diamond One and the Kamaki Cultural Library Museum. Mr. Sabansky, you're here with your reports or anything to add before I go to questions for council?
No, sir.
Okay, beginning on my left. Councilor Wolvett, anything for you?
Well, I'll just make some comments, and I know there's been a tremendous amount of work go into this with the committee and the Optimist. We've kicked it around here for months. I don't like the proposed location. However, I certainly respect the study that's been done here to kind of give us a look at some of the other options that have been looked at and what the problems are with those. I don't like the thoughts of it going beside the library. I think it certainly will affect the library with noise. And there's lots of other reasons, you know, that location, of course, we've talked about the playground, we've talked about the trees, and I know we've got lots of parking, you know, in the Kamalaki Community Center and at the Library Museum. So, you know, I kind of would have liked to seen it over. This is just my opinion. I'm not, you know, the committee did their work, but I would have liked to seen it over by the concession booth over there and maybe tore it down and maybe included a new concession booth and washrooms and so on and so forth into this new proposal. But once again, I didn't do the study, 3 or 4 different locations. So I'm giving you my opinion, what I would have preferred, but I'm not the expert. I'm not 100% opposed to where the proposal is neither. So we'll hear what everybody's got to say, and so that's the majority of the thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Van Claveren, anything from you?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sitting on the committee, we talked at length. This is following all the work that Optimists have done in regards to location. And they prefer to have it out near the community center also. Number 3, I believe, 2. And so we revisited that again our last meeting. And there's just a lot of potential roadblocks and a lot of extra cost. Definitely the easiest site is the one here at the library. It's most cost effective, and it is easiest for infrastructure. Is it optimum? For that site, it's probably optimum, in my opinion. And I say that with reservation because I much prefer the other sites too. And I don't think I know the cenotaph is a very sensitive issue. I don't see that having the ice pad there would take away from that. I think it very well could enhance it. So, but if it's gonna be on that property, it seems that for a lot of different reasons is the best spot. I'm not completely against exploring other parks either, for this, but I know the optimists aren't really interested in that either, but other than that, I think that's all I have to add at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll try and keep it short. I will reiterate that I'm not against the rink, much to a lot of news on opinions out there. But the location is definitely one that I dislike. It takes down 5 mature trees and, you know, it's jamming it in to a park that's really quite beautiful right now. So, but anyway, I think it would be nice if you would consider another park. Lakeshore Park has a great big field with nothing in it. It could be planted in there, and there's drainage, there's septic, there's sewers, all available, very close, no trees to take down. I just wish you would sort of consider that, but I'm sure that, you know, it's Nettie's opinion, so. I think that's about all I'll say about it.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Rodriguez.
Thank you. Well, a lot of work has gone into this location. I see no issues where it is. I mean, obviously, if that's the best spot for it, that's where it should go. I look at it in a positive way that it actually could be a benefit to the library and the museum. Because it brings more people in that area in close proximity to it, and those two services have been struggling to get more people. So I think it's a positive in that sense. This is a commercial hub, so I think putting it there would also enhance ultimately, hopefully, more commercial interest in the area, which is desperately needed. So in those positive events, choose. Thank you.
Councillor Basie.
Yes, just a little bit. We talked about the cenotaph as well. And really, when you look at it, the one here in Wyoming, the skate park's right behind it. So it's not. Yeah, we did discuss moving it out of the way because it has to be rebuilt, but it is what it is, and I'm okay with that. For the property we own in this park, this is the best spot that we found because it's totally going to disrupt baseball for a year if we put it in the other spot, which is something we weren't prepared to do. Like I say, if we have more property there, we'd put it somewhere else, but we don't, and that's where it fits. So that's why we went that way. And I was one of the ones wanting it where you wanted it, Bob, and same with the Optimists. That was their first pick, but logistically it doesn't work for us. So that's where we're at.
Anything else, Councillor Basie? Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
Councillor Bojan.
Thank you. Yeah, my opinion is around the same. I mean, we created this committee for a reason, and they've reviewed it. They reviewed the public consultation we did. They looked at alternatives, and they've unanimously supported this location. So I'm willing to trust that recommendation. The biggest challenge for me has always been figuring out the true capital costs of building this thing. And from my understanding, and that's something I'm sure the optimists want to know too, just because we got to figure out how much it costs and how we're financing and all that. And my understanding is we need the location in order to go any further, because you need to know what the utilities are, you need to know what the services are. So I'm all on board on approving the location as presented, and get the next step taken care of and knowing what we're working with under the ground to get quotes and all that. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, that's it, Councillor Bolgen.
That's it.
Okay. Council, anything else? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Read it again. Moved by Councillor Bolgen, second by Councillor Rodriguez, that the report by Adam Sabanski, Chief Administrative Officer, dated October 18th, 2024, regarding the proposed Huron Shores Optimus Community Project location selection be received. The council endorses the proposed location between Diamond One, Lackey Cultural Library Museum.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Was there ever another, like, only in Kimlaki, the four places here are just all in Kimlaki. Was there ever a consideration of another park at all out of Kimlaki?
Mr. Sabanski?
So the committee and specifically myself have had a number of discussions with the Optimus in regards to potential locations. The Optimus helped build the Kamlaki Community Center. They have been long contributors to the Arnold Park. They feel that is their kind of home amongst the northern area of our municipality. And because of that, they felt that that location was the prime location due to their long-term investment in the Arnold Park area.
Just so we're all clear, we're voting on this for the location of it. That's as far as we're voting today. So where is that? Yeah. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, council, let's go to item 6.1. Motion by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Bolgen, that the minutes be adopted by council. That those confidential minutes of the closed sessions of council remain confidential, restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. That would be our regular council meeting minutes of October the 9th, as well as those regular council meeting minutes of October the 9th, 2024. Everybody's had an opportunity to review them. Are there any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's go to item 6.2, moved by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen. That the minutes be adopted by council, and those confidential minutes of the closed sessions remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exceptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It would be our Fire Executive Committee meeting minutes of August 12th, Special Events Committee meeting minutes of September the 9th, Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee minutes of September the 12th, Parks and Recreation Committee meeting minutes of the 19th of September, and our Fire Executive Committee meeting minutes of the 23rd of September, and consideration meeting minutes for the solid drain October the 9th. We have Chair Wolfett, Liaison Bolgen, Chair Vasey, and Councillor Van Claveren for the drainage. Is there any questions to any of those? Had an opportunity to read them. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, item 6.3, Councilor's Report. Deputy?
I don't want to hear, oh, I mean. Okay, so we will start over with Mr. Lovett.
Yeah, really, the only thing I have to report on was we certainly had a fire board meeting and of course we had a lot of discussions, certainly with the interim chief present. Talked about the ladder truck, which is not being used yet, because they haven't been trained on it yet. So that's ongoing and happening as we speak. We talked about goals for the future for the fire department. Yeah, just, we talked about the communication system that, hopefully they're sorting it out. But there's still problems with it on where these calls are going and stuff, but they're working on it and trying to resolve it, so. Recruitment wise, we talked about that and we're almost up to 100% with our recruitment. I think we're only down 1 or 2 people in both fire departments. And that is because of basically somebody moving or whatever, but recently we've hired 10 new firefighters over the last few months and some very experienced firefighters, so working out very well, so we're doing very good in fire. I'll just stop it there.
Great, yeah, yeah, Mr. Van Claveren.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I really don't have anything to report other than as the chair of the Drainage Committee, you'll notice in tonight's agenda, a lot of drainage work on the go.
Yes, drainage is,
It's happening. Yeah.
a lot of stuff on, yeah. Mr. Bowden.
Thank you, Deputy. The only update I have is just, so I had the pleasure of attending the one-day Ontario West Municipal Conference last Friday. I was in Chatham, Kent. So I promised the mayor to bring back some information. So the keynote was a political journalist, Paul Wells. So it was interesting to hear him speak because he focused on the outsider looking in and the lack of communication between the local government and the upper levels of government. So it's pretty interesting to see the journalist perspective of the frustrations that local councils are having. There were 2 breakout sessions. One was on rural housing solutions and rural energy. But specifically, the one thing that was really cool that I took out, and staff might already be aware of this, but it was the Rural Ontario Institute has a rural housing information system database. So there's a few case studies where rural municipalities have used this system and this institute to look at housing supply, zoning and restrictive zoning that's affecting housing supply and all that stuff. So I got access to it and I can share it with folks and anyone here can sign up for it, but you can kind of nerd out on the data here because it has stuff about our housing supply, permits issued, whether it's single detached, semi-detached, the types of housing we have, demographics, economics. It's just a one hub portal that's pretty neat. And you can, again, use it when you're doing official plan stuff to target specific zoning and housing supply.
Is there a lot of official plans being amended because of this housing stuff?
So the case study that we heard from, they did update their official plan, but more specifically, they used this to help kind of sell the need to the province for funding. So when it comes to the grant that we've applied to, they incorporated the data from that. So that was pretty interesting. Again, I can share that link with everybody because anyone can sign up. And then lastly, there was a fireside chat with the ministers and MPPs. So sometimes that's helpful, sometimes it's not helpful. But the Honorable Lisa Thompson was there and she was talking about her new ministry, which is specifically rural affairs. It's no longer part of another ministry. So we'll see if that has any positive outcome on rural economic development as she has promised.
Thank you. Yeah. Mr. Basie.
Yes, Parks and Rec, we had all the user groups in for their year-end kind of wrap up and getting ready for budget for what they're looking for, need or shortfall. We had about just over 1,400 kids in our baseball, soccer, ball hockey. So we do have soccer and ball hockey represented now when they come to council, not just ball, because they have as much input as anyone else, I would think. We got their wish list, like say for budget time. One big cost will be the lighting at our parks. So Mr. De Silva's got a company coming in to give us a rundown on the needs and switching to LED and all that kind of stuff. So that will hit us at budget time, but at this point we don't know. But I was at the games where the lights were shutting off and on and off and on. Coincidence that Wyoming won the OBAs and their lights kept shutting off. So anyway, we're looking into that and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you. Yes, just the St. Clair Conservation Authority meeting last week, the 4% budget increase was approved. There was several different presentations that occurred from within the Conservation Authority. One was the land strategy, which is coming up further on agenda, because it's going out for its public consultation period. That's it.
Thank you. Yes,
Our
Mr.
letter made a big difference to them. Asking them to restrain.
Well, I certainly got picked on for it. let me tell you.
Good, we'll have to send more letters.
I agree, 100%.
Right.
It's quite educational back with my answers, so.
Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Couple things. Recently attended the Lambton Group OPP Detachment Board meeting. I can share with you that our ride program this fall has been successful with an increased infractions. Unfortunately, it was found to be up 29%. The impaired in Lambton County is actually up 4%, which is not good. There's been an increase of false alarms, which takes away from important policing. We're going to be encouraging every municipality to look at and discuss whether we have a false alarm bylaw. I've spoke to our clerk about that. She's going to be reviewing the numbers that we have been charged for, and we'll have further discussion on that when that comes back. The officer assigned to the schools is being well received by not only staff, but students. The county, a couple highlights from there to share with you. The County Emergency Services Committee has been dissolved. This is now redundant, and as you know, are aware, we have our own emergency management team. At the end of 2024, please report that there were 29 new kilometers of new pavement placed to improve our roads. 17 kilometers of partially paved shoulders, 2 major bridges rehabilitated, and 2 culverts replaced. We've just gone through Local Government Week, which was October 15th to the 19th. I had the pleasure of reading at both the Wyoming and the Kamlaki libraries. I want to thank Glenna Shaw, Vanessa Rampanga, and Victoria Wheeler for their hospitality and kindness at the Wyoming library, where I got to read a book called Friends. At the Kamlaki one, Irene Medeiros was leading the charge with, and I had to read a book called Music. I was impressed. She even got the mayor to sing and play a tambourine, so that was pretty good. And in the days ahead, I have the laws meeting, and of course, our 2 Remembrance Day services in Kamlaki at the Cenotaph on this coming Sunday, and on November the 11th in Wyoming. And to wrap it up, I was at Spooktacular, which our special events committee put on at the Kamlaki Community Center. And I had a stressful job. I had to pick winners of 2 categories for the best costumes, and 5 very tough pumpkins had to be judged. Probably lost a lot of votes there, but that's it was good. And congratulations to the special events committee. They did a great job of putting that on. So that's all I have. What about you, Deputy? What's going on in the world?
I was going to mention the Remembrance Day ceremonies, and you did that already, so
Okay.
I have nothing else to report. But and I was going to commend you about your jobs that you've done at the library and the at the Spooktacular thing. You're quite popular, weren't you?
There was some children that were,
Yeah, they sort of liked you.
there was one, and I must tell you, one little fellow in Kamlaki wanted to know if I had any snacks.
Birdies.
Yeah. After the 3rd time, his mother said, "Be quiet."
Thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, council, let's go to item number 7 on the agenda, 7.1. The motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Bojan, that the council remuneration claims for September of 2024 be approved for payment. Questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's get into our reports. On 8.1. A motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolvette, that the report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated October the 4th, 2024, regarding requests for drain maintenance for the period of July the 1st to September the 30th, 2024, be received for information, file accordingly. Ms. Cummings is not with us. I know Mr. Da Silva is here. Are there any questions on that? Call for the vote. All those in favor? It looks like we've got a lot of drainage work going on. Drainage and infrastructure, good. Okay, 8.2. Motion by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Basie. The report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated October the 4th, 2024, regarding the petition for drainage works by owners of lot 12 and 13. Session 9 be received. The council accepts the petition as filed and appoints M. Garrett's Consulting Incorporated to make an examination of the area and prepare a report on the matter. Any questions? I know Mr. Silva's here if there are. Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Let's go to 8.3, moved by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Bojan. The report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated October the 15th, 2024, regarding the Montgomery Drain Maintenance Bank repairs you received in the quotation from JLH Excavating Incorporated for $29,832 plus HST be accepted. Bylaw 130 of 2024 be approved. Taken has been read 3 times and finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Questions on this one? Councilor Rodriguez.
Just one question. This road has been under roadway for quite some time now. And the culvert, things like that. Does that play a part in these big failures? Because it just seems odd that we have these, so.
Mr. Silva.
Through your worship, the road construction itself or any culvert replacements did not play a factor. There's just a lot of really steep banks just with the proximity of the road to the municipal drain in this location. So that's what's causing some of the instability.
Any further questions? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Eight point four, moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. That the report by Aaron Kawarchuk, work dated October the 8th, 2024, regarding the building bylaw, a bylaw respecting construction, demolition, change of use permits, and inspections be received. That bylaw 46 of 2014 be repealed. And that bylaw number 128 of 2024 be approved. Taking as having been read 3 times, finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Deputy Clerk, I believe you had something you wanted to share with us on this before I call for the vote.
Correct, yeah, so I'll get Mackenzie to pull it up on the screen. After the agenda was published, we noticed that there was some wording in section 10 that we weren't quite satisfied with. So we're proposing that section 10.1C be amended to what's in the highlighted area there. So it would read, the deposits will only be returned to the applicant if the applicant obtains its final inspection, which has been approved by the chief building official within 2 years from the date of issuance of a building permit. That's been standard practice. So we just want to make sure that it's captured in the bylaw for transparency purposes as well as enforcement.
Thank you. Any questions on that, Councilor Wolvet?
Maybe Corinne could explain what are the other big changes in this new bylaw compared to the one that's 10 years old? Like what's the big hitters here? I know I've read it all, but trying to decipher what's changed and what's not.
It's not a.
Okay, so it's hard to redline an old version to a new version. That's the biggest problem. Otherwise, we would have provided it. Nothing much changes in this, except the fact that it's updated language with the new current Ontario building code that's coming into play. There's a transition period, and we're just catching up a lot of the things that we're missing. And then also where we have found shortfalls in the wording when it comes to enforcement or administration of it or clarification, it's just cleaning some of that up. This will also make it so Plympton-Wyoming and the other 9 member municipalities all have the same bylaw. So it's very easy for our builders and ratepayers to use the same bylaw, no different than we've done for your property standards and tidy yard, animal control. We're trying to get everybody, so it doesn't matter what side of the street you live on, it's the same bylaw, so that everybody understands it. So it's just a tidying up, that's all.
Sounds good, thank you.
That answer your question,
It
Councilor?
absolutely answers my question.
Any further questions? So what this amendment involved added to it?
If we could have the motion amended to speak to the bylaw being approved as amended with what's highlighted on the screen.
So the deputy mayor and Councilor Van Claveren were the movers, seconds. Are you all fine with that?
Yes, thanks for catching that.
All right, so I'll read it again. Moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councilor Van Claveren, that the report by Aaron Kwarchuk, clerk dated October the 8th, 2024, regarding the building bylaw. The bylaw respecting construction, demolition, change of use permits and inspections be received, that bylaw 46 of 2014 be repealed. That bylaw number 128, 2024 be approved as amended, taking as having been read 3 times, finally passed. The mayor and clerk be authorized to sign said bylaw accordingly. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, 8.5. Moved by Councilor Bojan, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez, that the report by Aaron Kwarchuk, clerk, dated October 15th, 2024, regarding the animal control bylaw, being a bylaw to provide for the licensing, control, and regulation of dogs be received. That bylaw 79 of 2013 be repealed, and that bylaw 129 of 2024 be taken as having been read 3 times, finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly, and the bylaw be sent to the Ministry of the Attorney General for approval of the set fines pursuant to the Provincial Offences Act. Is there any questions on that? Councillor Bojan first.
Just a clarification, I'm just in short form, and set fines have to go to the courts for approval.
Councillor Basie.
Just a comment that as a dog owner, you have 18 pages of things you need to meet, but if you have another animal, you don't have to meet any of them. I could fall short myself, but I've voiced that before.
You, Councillor Rodriguez.
Thank you. So I was gonna say, like, a few of these I find a little bit high. And they don't, like, they're minor things, like a dog tag on the dog. But if I'm hearing what you said in the last item on the agenda, is this part of, you're trying to put these bylaws so they're the same for all municipalities? I know Lambton Shores doesn't even have one, so.
So if I may, this
Donna.
is very specific to
It is.
Wyoming with the
Okay.
animal control. Other people are updating their bylaws, but the point of the penalties is we'll need to have care and control of their pet. And the idea is to deter people to have infractions. I mean, let's be honest, our law enforcement team is very administrative more than their enforcement. And it's usually when we gotta go back a second or third time to advise someone that then the fines are brought forward. If it's someone that we're like, hey, you're new to town, you didn't get a dog take, could you please hop into the town and just take care of that in a couple of weeks for us. Like, that's what we do. We don't, the tickets aren't like, that isn't first offense, you're not going out and issue tickets. That's not what we do. That's not what you've asked us to do. You've asked us to educate, so.
Right. So that's where, I mean, all your other fees, I get it, you need to return of bad behavior, but for a dog for getting the license or a dog tag, not wearing one. Those things, I just thought, but if you're saying the goal is to educate first, but if I have to come back, I get it.
That's correct. And most times we find out about no dog tags after the dog has been picked up and there's costs absorbed with that. Times we're going in and they still don't have their dog tag. It's not recoup the cost and even the costs within the office. I think that's what you're trying to recoup the costs are with the tickets, the time involved for the administration and enforcement. But we're very kind. We get people don't understand all the rules for all our bylaws.
Okay, thank you. I just know from, my dog, I never put it down on because of the way the dog's leashed. It's not leashed around the collar. So I just didn't want to get in big trouble for that.
Nada?
Further, as long as you have the tag, right? The idea of the tag on the dog is if they get loose, then they're able to be identified.
Yeah, I know.
There's microchipping too, right? Doesn't mean the tag has to be on them. It's about obtaining that tag so that you're able to claim your pet, but it can be identified and that they're licensed within the town.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, to my left, Deputy?
So this is strictly on the honor system. Okay, so the only way that someone who doesn't have a tag will go and get a tag is if somebody tells a teacher on them, right?
Through the chair, yes. We haven't been directed to do any active compliance, like going door to door, trying to
Right.
sell tags. That was done a number of years ago. So we do still have many of those properties on our list and they're billed for their tags every year. Following the adoption of the bylaw, we can kind of put something out on Facebook and on the town website to encourage people to get tags for 2025. Because that's, I don't believe, something we've done before.
Okay, it would be a good idea because I was stopped at the post office just recently about this owner of that dog who had a tag, but there's a number around the area that don't have tags. So it would, yeah, please put it on the website. Thank you.
Councilor Van Claveren, anything from you?
Nothing from you, sir.
Well, that,
Nope, good with it.
okay. Call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. 8.6. Moved by Councilor Bojan, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the report by Aaron Kowarchuk, clerk, dated October 18th, 2024, regarding the 2025 council and committee meeting calendar be received, approved, and the dates be published on the town's website. I believe all of our committees have had an opportunity to review those dates. Any questions, Deputy?
I'm just wondering about Roma. We have a council meeting on the Wednesday, January 22nd, and that's the day you guys, if anybody is going to Roma, that's the day you come home from Roma. So I bet you don't spend your time at the conference reading the agenda.
Most of us do.
So I was just wondering if you want to change it to the Thursday or something like that, that's all.
Mayor's discretion. I know we're scheduled to be back in London for about 2 o'clock on the Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, okay, well,
So the conference actually runs about Sunday from midday
yeah.
through to about Tuesday midday.
Oh, okay, I thought you
It's
guys
not
came
a
back
Wednesday
on Wednesday.
conference. OGRA, they come back on Wednesdays, but Roma is a day shorter.
Okay, I've got written here, and never mind. And then also,
Go in for the mayor.
no, that's great, that's okay. And then there's committee of adjustment, but we didn't discuss it at our last meeting that Wednesday, January the 29th. Sorry, it's not the committee of adjustment one.
May 13th, madam.
Yes, May the 13th, that's a committee of adjustment meeting, and that's when the conference is for the committee of adjustment. I wonder if we could suggest changing that to the 6th or the 20th, doesn't matter which one, but
I think each committee has prerogative to adjust their scheduling as is, because I know the fire executive has done that. Others that I sat on have done that as well.
right,
You have that flexibility.
true, but I forgot to mention it at the last meeting.
Through the chair, committee of adjustments, the one committee that doesn't get approved at their level. For whatever reason, historically, it's been done at council because it follows that same calendar every second Tuesday of every month.
Committee of adjustment, that you're gonna change it maybe?
Yeah, if
And you
members of
consult,
the committee here are comfortable changing it, we can change that one off. The
May I suggest that it might be best that the committee makes that decision? That way they can all check their calendars the day of the
Right.
meeting.
Okay.
Anything further?
I finally don't have council on my anniversary, so I can take my wife out for dinner this year.
Oh, you might appreciate it.
Still getting
That's
over.
recorded, you know.
I don't want to babysit.
I'm still getting over that nerd out comment there.
Yes.
You see the data in that report.
All right, let's have the vote. All those in favor? Great. Okay, 8.7, moved by Councillor Wolf, that's seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. The report by Ella Flynn, Executive Assistant Deputy Clerk, dated October the 11th, 2024, regarding Remembrance Day pole banners and the 2025 Creative County Grant Program be received. I do know on those pole banners with the Remembrance Day, there has been some discussion, I believe Deputy Clerk with the Legion, as well as some individuals throughout the community.
Correct, yeah, through the chair. For a number of years, we have heard interest from community members. They've seen them in local townships like Watford. Rolia has them now, so people have voiced it would be nice if that's something Plympton-Wyoming could look at. So we had tried for several years to kind of get some traction on this project, but hadn't really gotten anywhere. So this year we've had good success with a member of the Legion. And we met with a representative from Memorial Banners. The Legion's very excited to partner on this project in whatever way they can. And Memorial Banners would be more than happy to help us with the development of the banners and the printing of them for next year. It's a little too late to try for this year, so we'll focus on that for 2025. And it just happened, the Creative County Grant, we'd seen the application for that and felt this project fit very well into the criteria, so we thought we'd try and kind of get it all going at the same time.
The council, this is to receive Ms. Flynn's report. We'll go into, if we're interested in doing the Remembrance Day pole banners as well as the creative grant. I have motions for that separately. So this is to accept her report. Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, so I have 8.7B, which is basically moved by Councillor Vasey, seconded by Councillor Bojan. That staff be directed to execute a Remembrance Day pole banner program for 2025, and the monies be included in the 2025 budget for the program. Any questions on that? Councillor Bojan?
I'm just wondering, I know the Legion is on board to help with a lot of finding the stories and promoting it and stuff. Was there any discussion about partnering with the town and maybe even the Kamalaki Museum? Because I know there's a lot of veteran ties and stories at that museum as well. Was there any interest in doing like a teamwork, small fundraiser type thing to help pay for the costs of the banners? Or was that kind of just not?
Councillor, I'm going to defer to our deputy clerk. I know her and the clerk have been working with this. So, Ms. Flynn, if you don't mind.
We didn't get too far into financing. We only had the one meeting with the Legion representative and the banner company. So I think now that we have a little more information, hopefully make that application for the grant. And then knowing if we're successful in obtaining the grant would make it an easier conversation to have, because then we know exactly what would be left to be paid for. And then we can kind of source whether that's coming from the town, different service clubs, or the family of the veteran.
Perfect, yeah, just because I think it'd be a good opportunity to get the Kamalaki Museum involved as well. And then you can have a nod to the Legion and the museum and the town on the banners. But other than that, all looks
I
good.
do know I was in conversation with the president of Legion, and there's a new member that's taking on that role for a project. So he's going to be working with Ms. Flynn on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Good. Call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. 8.7B, moved by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that council supports an application to the 2025 Creative County Grant for funding to create a Remembrance Day pole banner program. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's go to 8.8. Moved by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Vaizey. The report submitted by Paul Da Silva, Director of Public Works, dated October 16th, 2024, regarding the Egremont Road culvert replacement tender results be received. A tender submitted by Van Bree Drainage and Bulldozing in the amount of $55,049 plus HST be accepted, and the bylaw 131 of 2024 be taken as having been read 3 times, finally passed. The mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Mr. Da Silva is here if you have any questions. Councillor Bojan?
Thank you, Worship. We had a road closure on Egremont just west of Old Mill Road last week, and the notification said it was for a culvert installation. So did we just replace a culvert installation and then this is a second one, or I'm just looking for clarification on that?
Mr. Da Silva?
Through your worship. That's right. So that was for the Whiting Drain project with a completely different contractor. And I would agree, it would have been very nice to marry these 2 projects together. But unfortunately, on the best of days, it's difficult to schedule things with one contractor. Scheduling them with 2 different contractors would have been very difficult. So yeah, we will have another closure for this one. Unfortunately, that's just the way it worked out.
And if I may, just building off of that, is it possible to get a sign installed the week prior? Just warning of a upcoming closure? Just because I received some comments that they didn't know it was happening, and then they were coming home one day and they couldn't pass it and had to backtrack to O'Brien and Lakeshore. So I know the county will usually put up a sign saying road closure date. Is that something that's possible so that the residents know to detour ahead of time?
Mr. Da Silva?
Through your worship again, definitely possible. Getting them made up, the signboards are kind of expensive, but we could ask the county if we can use their digital information boards. They might let us borrow them for a week leading into construction, as long as they're not using them, us renting them. It's quite costly, but we can look at putting up some information in advance.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Rodriguez?
Thank you. So kind of feeding off of what Councillor Bojan was asking. I know we just had like a minor one that turned into a week-long one out in Blue Point. But you put out those notifications of those transits. Yeah, so I just basically took it and posted it that it was upcoming to kind of warn people through the Facebook group pages. So that might be an idea too, is to just put those notifications out there that way to try and let as many people know as possible. And the call for it. Well, so just a thought. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, 8.9, moved by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Vaizey, that the report by Paul Da Silva, Director of Public Works, dated October 24th, 2024, regarding the 2024-2025 winter operations plan be received, approved by council. Any questions on this? I must say, Mr. Da Silva, it's a complex report. Any further questions, comments? Councillor Van Claveren?
Just a real quick little question there. In regards to the salting, sanding, plowing, brining, and ice blading are not included within the winter operations plan. Am I reading that correct? Can you help me with that?
Mr. Da Silva?
Through your worship. So those are brand new standard operating procedures, and they're quite lengthy, and they get really into the details of how exactly we plow, how exactly we salt and sand. So it's not appropriate for this particular plan, but all of the guys will be trained on those new procedures.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anything further? Councillor Bojan?
Sorry, just to follow up too. I think I asked this last year too, because a lot of places were struggling with plow operators. Are we healthy? We're gonna meet all these times that are in this SOP for
Da Silva?
contractors and
we're fully staffed up right now.
Thank you.
Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's go to item 9.1 bylaws. We have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolbett. Bylaw number 127 of 2024. Being a bylaw to authorize the issue of debentures for the construction of 7 drainage works in the town of Plympton-Wyoming be approved, taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed. Mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Deputy Treasurer, I believe this is a standard thing we do every year, is it not? Are there any questions? Councilor Wolbett.
Interest rates. How's that going to affect us this year? We've interest rates dropping and predicted to drop again here in the next by December, they say. How's that affecting our debenture?
So the rate that's set in the debenture is locked in for the next 3 years. It's based on the Infrastructure Ontario rate plus 2%, which was the rate established in the recently updated debenture bylaw or debenture policy. So these are at 6.46%, these debentures. Unfortunately, for the people who chose a debenture, that looks like the interest rate will go down at the banks. So that's a risk with interest rates that you take. If they had gone up, then they would have been in a better position. So you'll probably see in the budget going forward with the interest rates going down, the interest rate revenue that the town earns on our savings will decrease. So that would be the bigger issue related to the interest rates. But for the debenture, the town is in good shape.
So just a follow-up question. If somebody's taking out a debenture, they can get an interest rate at their bank or whatever for 2-3% less. Can they pay the debenture off or do they have to?
No, they cannot. This is locked in.
Locked in.
Yes.
You need any more money, by the way, at 6 point, I can maybe help you a little bit there. That's pretty good interest rate. Thank you.
Councillor, you'd be the one with the money. Any further questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, item 10.1, moved by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolbett, that the draft St. Clair Conservation Authority Conservation Land Strategy be received and staff be directed to forward any of council's comments or concerns to the SCRCA. I think everybody's had an opportunity to review that. It's laid out comprehensive strategy. Any questions? Okay. All those in favor? What you're saying is if you think of things, send it to Councilor Rodriguez. Okay, let's go to correspondence and recommended reading and routine approval and information items. I have a motion by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Vaizey. Correspondence items A to L. A to L relating to the recommended reading, routine approval and information items be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly. Does anybody have anything they'd like to pull, address, or recognize? I'm going to begin on my left. Anything? Councilor Wolbett?
Yeah, I think I would pull out K. I think that was quite an interesting read on the establishment of an Ontario Rural Road Safety Program. It was interesting to read just how many accidents are on our rural roads rather than your main highways. I would have expected it to be totally opposite, but 50% on rural road systems. So like I say, it was an interesting read and there's many reasons, I suppose, why those accidents are happening, but I don't think it would hurt to support the program, whatever it's going to look like, but.
Okay, so you'd like to pull it and support?
Yes,
Okay, do you have another one?
that's all, sir.
Councilor Van Claveren?
I draw your attention to letter I. the resolution from the town of Coburg, support of involuntary care for individuals with severe mental health and addictions. I think I'm just gonna draw our attention to it. It's a rather contentious issue. It's from the last number of speakers at some of the conventions we went to, speaking that the core issue was to many of these encampments and so on is the mental health and the addiction problem. And so it might be worth exploring and discussing and thinking about.
You'd like to just draw it for our attention.
Correct.
Thank you. Deputy, anything from you? Councilor Rodriguez?
I support, Kay. Bob had already spoke, Councillor Wolvat had already spoke.
Okay, second motion.
Yeah.
Okay, for Kristen, right there. Okay. Thank you. Councilor Basie?
Nothing further from me, thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion that I just read, and then we're gonna do what I think we have to accept. To read in. Okay, thank you. Motion by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Basie. That correspondence items A to L relating to recommended reading and routine approval and information items be noted as received by Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly, save and accept for item K. All those in favor? It's carried. And I have a motion by Councilor Wolvet, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez, if you're both comfortable with that. That the council supports correspondence item K from the town of Blue Mountains regarding the establishment of an Ontario Rural Road Safety Program. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, council, let's go to item number 12, new business. Councilor Rodriguez, anything from you?
Nope.
Okay. Councilor Basie?
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Councilor Pogin?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay, Deputy Mayor?
Nothing.
Van Clavin?
From me, sir.
Councilor Wolvet?
Couple of very small items tonight.
Oh, we would have been clear there.
So close.
Somebody's anniversary tonight, isn't it? Phragmites. Are we spraying for Phragmites this fall or what, has any been done or being done? Was that a spring event?
Should Silva?
Yeah, through your worship, yes, both our drainage superintendent and our operations coordinator are looking at areas to spray this fall.
This fall.
Yes, there's a working group that was established to target specific areas and look for funding to do that. But yes, we are looking at doing so.
Yeah, that was brought to my attention by a farmer. The other thing I had for tonight, I know we've talked about this one before, but surplus roads, lands and roads with bridges. Do we have a listing of, we talked about this before about declaring certain roads, especially with bridges that are gonna need repairing, lands, buildings, on and on it goes. Can we get that report back again sometime? Doesn't have to be before the first of the year, but if we have anything, we should be moving it along, especially with bridges that we may not want to repair.
Mr. Sabansky?
So yes, the Director of Public Works and I have been discussing that a number of times at our senior management meetings. We've had a lot of projects kind of get in the way of going through that matter. There's a lot of information to go through between the different styles of lands, bridges and roads. So we are charting to have that back to council sometime in the new year.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Okay, nothing further under new business. I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councilor Van Clavin, that council move into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 Municipal Act 2001 is amended for the following reasons. Item A, employee matters, section 239, bracket 2, bracket D, labor relations or employee negotiations. All those in favor? Carried. For our meeting, I'd like to thank those that have joined with us virtually for being with us.